They come out of it and kick the field goal. Who cares? Jake Elliott makes it. I think it was a 29-yarder. He's got this. You're going to go for it. Go with your gut. Understand the opponent. Why do you think he changed his mind at the last minute?
4 guys that starters that didn't begin the season. I'm starting to think maybe they ought to start shedding some salaries there.
They played pretty well. They weren't the issue.
Yeah, I mean, shed some salaries and bulk up. Reinforce that defense. And if you're not convinced that Hurts is the quarterback, we'll have some more games to look at that. Go in that direction. They're going to have some draft capital, though they should have some money. So.
A Monday live edition of Birds 365. McMullen and McDonald here with you. We are joined by our esteemed colleague from the Delco Times, been covering the Eagles for years, and gave us some pretty good insight, even though we kind of mocked them and knocked them for predicting a pretty tough start for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's looking that much more right after 4 games. Bob Grotz of the Delaware County Times, our guest here on Birds 365. You look good there, Bob. You look like a guy in a horror film. Are you trying to make a testament to the Philadelphia Eagles' first 4 games here? If you are, you're succeeding.
This is as good as it gets at 8:30 in the morning, guys. And what a weird day it was. My weird day started on the way into the parking lot, believe it or not. Somebody wanted to have their photograph taken of me in a selfie.
Nice.
I don't know who they mistook me for. Maybe John McMullen or something. Yeah. I told them I wasn't famous, but it was a strange day.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. You didn't tell me that the entire game that somebody tried to take a selfie with Bob Grotz. That
I don't
prognosticator of all prognosticators.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why.
I don't know what was weirder, Jody, that or whoever it was turning off the lights in the press box right after the game.
Very, very
right
early.
after we went up to right. There was more light in the bathroom to right.
Yeah, they were trying to get us out of there, Bob. So
Yeah.
where do we start with this game? When you look at this game, 3rd down defense, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, where do you start? What went wrong for the Philadelphia Eagles other than, it's a rookie head coach against Andy Reid?
Yeah.
It's a second-year quarterback with his 8th start against Patrick Mahomes. Should we have expected anything else?
No, that's pretty much what you would expect. I mean, they scored with 4 seconds left, or they would have lost by what, 20?
Yeah, well,
that's about
42-30. So yeah,
40. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you expect. I think it was good that they didn't. Well, that they stayed competitive at least. But with the Chiefs defense, you're going to do that. And but what really impressed me when I took a look at that was and I looked through the play-by-play. They used almost the same game plan that the Chargers used the previous week, and the short passes, mixing it up, and even mixing in runs in that. I mean, that was like that was a straight steal from the Chargers, and that was smart. And I think the book is out there on the Chiefs what to do. They weren't as successful in the red zone though, and that was a big deal. What was it, John? 3 of the first 4 trips into the red zone. No touchdowns.
And they got ultimately they got 3 touchdowns taken off the board. 2 of them in the red zone. One was the OPI on JJ Arcega-Whiteside. One was the illegal man downfield on Andre Dillard. So both were legit, according to Gene Steratore. I know said, "Hey, everybody was upset about the JJ penalty. They're going to call that. If you're not subtle on that, they're going to call it." I mean, it is what it is at this point. But Nick Sirianni always talks about eliminating the mistakes that don't require talent, however he words that.
No
when
talent
are they going to do that? Yeah. When are they going to do that, Bob?
Yeah. I mean, I think Lane Johnson took a touchdown off the board in the first game for who was it? Kenneth Gainwell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's veterans and young people alike. So, I mean, you can't. I mean, that's nice to say. If they had scored those 3 touchdowns, it would have been a different game. Well, obviously it would. But, the Chiefs blew it too when they didn't challenge the fumble at the goal line right before the
that
Eagles'
was
first
out.
touchdown.
That was out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that we couldn't see it from our angle, and I'm sure that it was difficult and all the confusion for the Chiefs to get a good look. There weren't a lot of replays shown, but they should have at least called a timeout. But, when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you can afford to save your timeouts, right? I mean, and I think that's it. When we talk about that game, I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, wow. I mean, and how many times in the press box did we watch Tyreek Hill put a move on an Eagles defender or defenders? They were rolling a safety towards him and go, wow, that guy, he's uncoverable.
Unbelievable.
He's uncoverable. So I think all in all, they did what I expected. I think I had them losing by 20 points. So, but and that's, the crowd, I think they only booed once that whole game, Jody, which was, I thought it was going to be a boo fest. But the Eagles, are they that? I still don't think they're that good. They have some pieces, but not enough. And I think it's going to be tough this week too when they go into Carolina. Yeah,
we'll get to Carolina in a second. Yeah. We got a lot of dissecting yet of this game to go. I heard this. I thought I heard it through the speakers on my TV yesterday. Tell me, you mentioned no booing. I thought I heard at times chants of run the ball, because the Eagles didn't run it again much yesterday, certainly more so than the previous game, but not much. Again, I didn't think the offense was the problem. I thought the offense, all right, they came up a little small in the red zone a couple times, as both you guys noted. If they didn't get penalized in the red zone, maybe they'd scored touchdowns instead of getting field goals. That's something that needs to be worked on, and Sirianni acknowledged that. To me, this was about the defense. You talk about them copying what San Diego did. It worked. Good for them. San Diego got 4 turnovers last week. The Eagles got 1. San Diego didn't give up near as many points. Didn't give up 200 yards rushing like the Eagle defense had. This is about the defense, not about the offense, Bob Grotz.
Yeah, they don't have many players there, Jody. I mean, their talent is definitely on the offensive side of the ball. They have Javon Hargrave up front, and he's good. Well, I don't know what. I know Fletcher Cox. I don't know if he's hurt or what, but he sure didn't make a big impact on that game. Derek Barnett seemed like a step behind, and they missed Brandon Graham and the linebackers. Wow, I mean, and I'm not ripping those guys, but they're not the guys. They're not the linebackers. They
deserve to be ripped,
but they're not the guys that you want in this defense if they're going to run it like this. And they're still not. They're just not that good. And Jalen Hurts, you can look at those numbers and think they were really good, but that red zone stuff, even with the penalties, if he gets over the hump there, then he'll convince me that he's the one. But I still don't. I still have my doubts. I think he played well, but I still don't know if he's the guy. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I still don't know if he's the guy. And you could say after 387, well, look at that defense. I mean, the Chiefs were giving up 32 points a game.
Yeah.
The Eagles got 30. And 32 points a game, that's the worst scoring defense in the league. The Eagles got 30, okay? And they got more, the Chiefs, 40 points, that was what, 10 more than what they were averaging. But so if you look at it in those terms, it's that was to be expected what happened out there. And oh, by the way, Big Red, who was criticized and castigated weekly for not running the ball, gets 200 yards on the ground.
Oh,
that was too much. Jody, I asked him that in the post-game press conference. I went over to Big Red, who was really gracious to the Philly writers, saying you guys, but he said you guys are tough. You got to be nicer to Nick or whatever. But I asked him about that. I said, 200 yards rushing, what's up with that? And he started laughing and he said, I saved that for you guys. But it was the way that he did it too. With Tyreek Hill, Andy Reid's still a masterful schemer and play caller. He'd motion Tyreek Hill, and that would draw 2 people, to whatever side he motioned them to. and that would open up the run. That's 2 less tacklers right there. And with Kelsey, I watched when I was watching the replay on that touchdown to the tight end with Fortson or whatever.
Yeah, Fortson.
Well, yeah. Okay. Kelsey, Travis Kelsey was waving his arms and like he wanted the ball, like the Eagles were in the wrong defense.
Yeah.
He drew a lot of attention to him, and it was a shovel pass to the tight end who walked in, without getting touched in the middle. I mean,
it's amazing. Andy is amazing with those shovel passes. Which everybody knows they're coming, but nobody can copy it. Nobody's been able to replicate it on a consistent basis. It's coming, and like you said, you probably think it's coming to Kelsey, and all of a sudden, who the heck is Fortson? I got to look at this, and
right.
He just walks into the end zone.
It usually does go to Kelsey too. He's like the master of those, but. They play really smart, and 42 points. Jody, I don't think that the Chiefs played really. I don't think they played good. They played good enough to win, but they could have played a lot better too. So where does that leave the Eagles? Well, they're trying to build that culture, and Hurts. He spoke to the team afterwards, and he told them they were close, real close. I applaud him for that. He's really working hard to try to get this team over the hump. I just don't think it's going to happen.
All right, Bob, let's Andy told us to be a little bit easy on Nick, but let's not do that because I want to talk about the first drive of the game. 4th and 3. I think he makes the right decision. You got to understand the opponent. Field goals aren't going to do anything for you.
Right. No, that's for sure. Yeah.
You got to understand the opponent. He was going to go for it, but he gets in the play too late. All of a sudden, there's this mix-up. Did they call delay a game? Did they not call delay a game? They come out of it and kick the field goal. Who cares? Jake Elliott makes it. I think it was a 29-yarder. He's got this. You're going to go for it. Go with your gut. Understand the opponent. Why do you think he changed his mind at the last minute?
Well, he got that ironed out. He was more decisive as the game went on. I don't know. At first I thought that Hurts was just trying to draw the Chiefs offside, but I think he got into a flow and he started to realize, what we all know, or what we all know, like he doesn't know it. I think it's different when you're calling the plays. So, but in terms of Nick and and that type of stuff, his play calling, I didn't think he was that bad. I still think it's personnel, it's who you have, and they're going to have to coach the young guys a little bit better. I mean that's 2 guys who have had big gains taken away, touchdown. Devonta Smith, is simply stepping out of bounds. He did it. He stepped out of bounds at least once. I mean, I don't know, the attention to detail on that. They got to work on that some more. But what John was talking about, those no talent penalties, I think that happens. That's a little bit of that's coaching, but some of that is your personnel, and it's really young. The skills guys are really young, and Jalen Hurts is trying to rally them, but he does his best to rally them, and they still lose by 2 touchdowns in a league where every game is decided by 7 points or less. I mean, so that's where they are. I mean, that's where this program is.
Bob, I keep coming back to the defense. The offense is more interesting to try and pick apart and analyze. I get that. But they lost that game yesterday just because of the defense. I know how good Kansas City is on offense, so they weren't going to hold them to 17 or 18 points. A 40 spot's a 40 spot any way you slice it. Individuals, back to defensive individual. Rodney McLeod returning to the defense yesterday. He do anything to make you believe that he was missed, and when they got him back yesterday, was going to upgrade the defense? Because he hit it pretty well for me. I didn't see Rodney make too many plays either. I thought he could be a key re-addition for not only his play, but leadership as well, and they could use that with Brandon Graham out of the lineup. Rodney McLeod, one of the captains, didn't do anything for me yesterday. Bob, how about you?
Yeah, well, hey, I think coming off that knee as first action of the season, and this is a tough team to play against. I think early on he did some things, but after that, I think he kind of wore down. And the Eagles are just on defense. I'm not even sure what the game plan was there, except they wanted to try to get a couple guys on Tyreek Hill, and they wanted to try to jam Kelsey. I think they did a good job of jamming Kelsey and limiting him a little bit. But I mean, with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, you're going to have to. Let's go back to the Super Bowl where the Bucks beat the Chiefs. You're just going to have to pound him on every play. And he had a toe issue in that Super Bowl. Mahomes did, so he wasn't 100%. You're just going to have to pound him every play to get something going. And as much as we like what Hargrave has done so far, and we like Josh Sweat, what he's done, Sweaty, that's not enough. You need more guys, and I keep going back to that. That's the story of the whole defense for me, Jody. They need some more players. They only have a few, and in the back end of that defense, you got to. It is you get what you pay for, pretty much. And they got a few guys on 1-year deals and veterans, and they're doing their best. But you can run any scheme, and they're gonna struggle against that.
All right, one player on the back end who is playing well, Bob, and this is going to upset people because he's chirping on social media. Darius Slay.
He had a good game.
He had a really good game, and I think people don't recognize it. There was this one little section where they had Slay traveling with Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Andy Reid was smart enough not to throw him the football at that time. And for whatever reason, they go back to their zone concept, and here come the big plays again. But Slay was out there on social media saying, I think he's had 2 receivers in his entire career get 100 yards on him. He wasn't responsible. That doesn't come across well. Where are you with Darius Slay? Does he have to tone it down? Is it nice to have somebody with that kind of swagger? I thought he played well yesterday. I really did. It's hard to say 42 points, 5 touchdowns, Tyreek Hill. It wasn't on Darius Slay. It wasn't.
Yeah, he's kind of an outlier. I mean, I don't know how his teammates know that he's a jokester. He likes to have fun, but that kind of stuff, I don't see how that does any good. It's not, he didn't get that on me. I'm like that stuff that we would share with ourselves,
I know.
Behind when the boss isn't looking. So, I don't know, but I'll say this: it's pretty clear that he's really frustrated about losing, and 3 in a row. I mean, this is like Detroit Lions stuff again. What did he say? He wanted to chug down a carton of orange juice, to get rid of the taste of this.
Yeah. And he got me in trouble on 6 ABC because I said shit because he said shit so many times. I blurted out shit. I think he said it 6 times.
Well, you get a flyer from me because we know that the what, that's the what, or this is the what. Yeah. Hey, that's kind of a figure of speech, but but he's going to have to deal with that, that frustration. Those are bad optics right there, for a team that's struggling. If you want to be a leader, maybe that's why he's not one of the captains too. I don't know. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more serious about, his work, but he was good yesterday. And a couple of times I saw Tyreek Hill actually, tap him on the helmet, an obvious sign of respect. So, but he's, outlier with his personality, and he's kind of the guy in the back end of that defense, and in the you get what you pay for category, he's the one making the money. So they may have made the right decision on him. But when I talk about money too, guys, I know this probably wasn't part of your thinking today, but after I watched that offensive line, 4 guys that starters that didn't begin the season, I'm starting to think maybe they ought to start shedding some salaries there, like
Yeah, they played pretty well. They weren't the issue.
Yeah, I mean, shed some salaries and bulk up. Reinforce that defense. And if you're not convinced that Hurts is the quarterback, we'll have some more games to look at that. Go in that direction. They're going to have some draft capital, though they should have some money. So, and some of those offensive linemen, they're making some big bucks. So, yeah, they got some decisions to make. And while you're at it, if you're going to turn this into an overhaul, there's some guys on the defense too. Well, there's a defensive tackle that you might want to ask, where he wants to play, because if you look at the game sheets this year, it's pretty clear that 91 doesn't want to play right now for the Eagles.
If this was a transitional year, you start talking about making the moves that you're talking about. Oh my God, what are we going to call next year's team if they decide to do that?
Yeah, I think it will be in a little bit. I mean,
are we overreacting? Last one from me, Bob. Are we overreacting? Because this is an outlier. You're not going to play Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill every week. On the other end, you're not going to play against Steve Spagnuolo's defense. You know how I feel about that every week.
And look at the defense.
Maybe we should flush this one. Maybe we should flush this one.
Are you going to get me into trouble again? Yeah, right.
Flush what do you think of that? Should we flush this one? Does it mean as much as we think it means?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. This is who they are right now. They can play. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you could say, yeah, they played well on offense. They didn't play well on defense. But if you look at the entire program, they were 13 points, like I was saying, 13 points worse than, what is it, a 500 team? If you are what your record is and those numbers, they were 13 points less than that team. And it could have been 20 if it hadn't been for that, the Eagles scoring with 4 seconds left. The game was over. So that's who the Eagles are. And talking about, are they going to have a shot next week at Carolina? That's going to be a tough game. And especially coming off a loss like this. And then they get Tampa. And even though the game's here, that's going to be tough. But I still don't think they just don't have the guys. And I think when we look back at this season, that we'll look at it as, Nick tried to establish his culture, and they wanted to see who wanted to play for him. And guess what? You're in for some big changes at the end of the year with the veterans.
Nick, last one for me. And Bob, gonna give you credit. I was thinking about Nick Sirianni. You came on before the season started and said to us before the Atlanta game, if they don't win this one, this could be a pretty damn bad start to the season. And you clicked off San Francisco and Dallas and Kansas City. They've been underdog in all 4 games. Next week against Carolina, I'm guaranteeing you they're an underdog. The week after that against Tampa, I even know it's guaranteed they're an underdog. In Vegas, well, the Raiders are 3-0. They could be one of only 2 4-0 teams after Monday Night Football tonight. On the road, they're going to be an underdog against Vegas, which means the first 7 weeks are going to be underdogs. At Detroit on a Sunday, October 31st, Halloween, will the Eagles be an underdog again? Are they going to go the entire first half of the season, or at least the first 8 games, as an underdog every single game?
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, they had been an underdog. I mean, they had been like one in their 11 in their last 12 against the spread.
Yeah,
they hadn't covered. Yeah, I mean that was, but I think you'd be safe. Yeah, they could be the underdog against Detroit. I mean, and it's going to depend on what personnel is still healthy. But whatever it is, you just have to kind of roll with the other team right now if you want to, and expect them to cover. Because
assume you're right. And I know we're really stretching it here because we're talking about something that we got 5 more weeks of results to get in before we get there. At home against the Chargers. Week 9, underdog or favorite?
That doesn't look good. I'd say underdog.
Oh, I'd say underdog.
Next week at Denver against the Broncos in the Mile High.
Underdog. Underdog. They never play well there for whatever reason. The thin air, whatever. Underdog.
Sunday, November 21st, back here at the Link. New Orleans Saints coming to town. Eagles a favorite or underdog?
Underdog. Sean Payton always beats them.
Week 12 at the New York Giants. Giants got their first win yesterday.
Favorite.
They're on the road.
Favorite. Giants are terrible by that point.
You think they're going to be a favorite in that game?
I think there's a chance.
That could be
Probably
even, but
not, though.
That could be even, but
maybe.
I'd take the Giants.
Yeah.
And the week after that against the Jets. How about my Jets getting a win yesterday?
Definitely favored against them.
Wow.
Ooh, be careful with that. Jets could be 2-3 by the end of next week. Watch out. They're on the come. Hey, Bob Grotz, thank you very much for coming on with us. You are always entertaining, and I am proud of you that you stopped and did the selfie with the Eagle fans. You're going to get that much more of it going forward because you are the voice of doom.
Pro Football Report too. Talk Merrill off the ledge, Bob. I'm not
Merrill's
famous. Be upset.
Right. I'm not famous. I'm infamous. Yeah.
You look infamous today. Thank you for being infamous with us. That is Bob Grotz of the Delco Times here with us on Birds 365. We kid because we care, right? Tampa, Carolina, Tampa, Vegas, at Detroit, home Chargers, at Denver, home New Orleans, at the Giants, at the Jets. Now, those are 2 road games. I think they're as good a team as either of those 2 teams.
I think Detroit, there's a chance, depending on how things go, that they will be favorite. Obviously, if Detroit continues to lose. The Giants probably not. That'll be a home and home. They'll be favored when the Giants come here.
Right.
The Jets, I think there's a chance, depending, if Zach Wilson starts playing well. It's a lot of time, but there's a chance they'll be favored in that game.
A chance. They're 0 for 4 so far in favoritism this year. 1-3 record-wise, and yesterday's was pretty ugly because the point that Bob made is true. And I hesitated. One of my pro picks for the week, I make 3 every single week, 3 or 4, was I gave the 7 points with the Chiefs. I thought they were going to put 40 points up, and they did. Even though it was in the face of the Chiefs never cover big numbers. They just don't. They haven't the last year and change. Oh, they did yesterday against the Eagles, and the final score was a little deceptive because, yes, the Eagles scored with 3 seconds or 4 seconds left to go when they get that last touchdown.
4 seconds left, I believe.
They have a word to describe. They have a phrase to describe
garbage time. We got a lot of garbage time stats being, people talking about Jalen Hurts. Well, his stats. I mean, there's a lot of garbage time stats over the past 2 weeks.
Did compile some stats late in games. The phrase I like to use is, oh, by the way. They didn't really impact the outcome of the game. Oh, by the way, put up a bunch of numbers and some points too. We'll come back and talk more about that. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, we are...